Hey, welcome back to our live stream, everyone. It's Ned from Caspio. Hope you're having a good Monday. Let me know if you can hear me okay. As usual, we like to make sure that the audio is working correctly so that we can begin today's live stream. Hope everyone had a good weekend. And if you are able to hear me, please let me know in the chat window so that we can begin with today's presentation. Hey, Steven. Hey, guys. Welcome back. Wonderful. Once again, let me apologize for last week on Monday. We had severe weather, unlike anything I've ever seen here in California, and I've lived here since 1996, for a long time. And I think that's what happened with my Wi-Fi. Something was affected by it. It was so bad that even my backyard fence was completely dismantled. You know, the right side of my fence came down, and then my dad and I put some 2x4s to hold it in place. And then my left side of the fence in the backyard is barely hanging on. And then the back side of my fence is still intact. But yeah, I have the insurance coming by this week to assess and give a quote on fixing all of the backyard fence. So thankfully, no flooding or anything like that. It was just, heavy winds up to 40 miles per hour. And if you're sitting there thinking, wow, 40 miles per hour in California, and you have much stronger winds where you live, I apologize. It's just the way California is. We are fortunate to have good weather most of the time, but not last week. Yeah, we can use all that lumber. Yeah, you should see how my dad and I applied a quick fix in our backyard just to hold it in place from swaying back and forth. Anyway. Again, I apologize. I hope we won't have any more issues with the connection, so we can continue producing the live content without any interruptions. But in any case, today we have a fun topic, at least fun for me. We get to talk about case-when statements, which is basically SQL's way of handling if-then logic. So if something happens, have something else happen. On the table level or in the application on the data page side. Has anyone here used a case-when statement in their applications? You can let me know in the chat window. I could have done a poll for that at the very beginning, but I decided not to. Just let me know if your applications have or you haven't used any case-when-then type statements for conditional logic. And today, we're going to do something fun as well. I created a simple quiz to see how well you know Ned. And if you don't know any of the answers to these questions, that's okay. It's all anonymous. You can just take a best guess. You've duplicated many of my apps. Yeah, I've pulled up a few examples. We're going to look at 4 different examples today, starting with the simple one and then working our way up to a little bit more complex example. And some of the other applications that I have developed in the 13 years that I've been at Caspio. But here, we're going to take this link, and I'm going to share this link with you in the chat window. If you can do me a favor, just go ahead and click on that link and just fill out a quick quiz here to see how well you know me. Don't worry if you get this wrong. It's just for fun. At least you get to learn something about me after today's live stream. And we're going to see how the answers come into our database table, and what we're doing with the case-when statement to calculate the score. And all we're trying to see, if you get the right answer, you get 1 point. If you get all 3 answers correct, you get 3 points. I will not be offended if you get 0 points. Don't worry. I won't even know who that answer came from anyway, so it's totally fine. I'll give you guys a few more seconds to fill out the form, and then I'll show you my database table so that you can see how that case-when statement is calculating the points based on your submissions. Think we can go into our table and just take a look and see if the scores are coming in. So far, nobody has 3 points. The closest one is 2. All right. I'll just refresh a few more times to see if there are any other answers that come in. Did anybody answer this one here? Let's see. What was it? That doesn't look like an athlete. So this is A, B, C, D for question number 2. Somebody was, I think, trying to be funny, and they put question answer D here. It's funny. Maybe I don't look like an athlete. Who knows? All right, I'll refresh one more time. All right, 1 point. So nobody got all 3 of my questions correct. Closest we have is 2 points. So congrats to whoever that was. So I'm going to fill this out myself so you can see 3 points as well. I'm a big fan of the Star Wars franchise. I am a fan of Star Trek and Lord of the Rings, but I'm not a huge fan of Harry Potter, and this one is my favorite. I play basketball for 18 years and chess. Even though I love all, I mean, these are all of my hobbies, but if I had to rank them highest to lowest, I consume chess on a daily basis. I don't know why, I just enjoyed the tactical game and all the tactics. So chess will be number 1, and then it's kind of a toss-up between video games and snowboarding, and then ping pong, and then playing pool. So we'll hit submit, we'll refresh, and we get 3 points. So what are we doing on this table? So let's go to table design, and let's take a look at our score formula, and then you're going to be able to see, and I'll also show you the data page as well. So the case when statement is basically what it's doing is when question 1 equals to B, okay, then 1 point. Assign 1 point in the table, or else 0 if you answer a different answer, or different answer to that question. Case when question 2, so this is question 2 equals to C, which is the correct answer, you get 1 point or else 0 points, and then question 3 is the correct answer, you get 1 point or else 0 points. Very simple statement. If you get the question right, you get 1 point, otherwise you get 0 points, and then on the data page, we have those radio buttons. I'm going to hit edit and show you what that looks like. So question 1, you can see we have what's on display, and then you're assigning a letter, basically A, B, C, D. And if you do get that right answer, which is Star Wars, or answer B, you get that 1 point based on that case statement that's in the database. Now, there are other ways of doing this calculation. You could also have, assign a number 1, 0, 0, 0, 0, and then you can use a formula just to simply do a calculation. Question 1 plus question 2 plus question 3. If you get it right, you get 1 point for that row, and then question 2, same thing. So there are many different ways of calculating, but I wanted to show you an example of a case when statement on how that can be accomplished as well. As you guys know, keep in mind that all the things that we cover in today's live stream, I will make available as a download in the description of the YouTube video. So I'll put all of this in the Word document for you. So if you want to grab these statements for your own case, for your own use cases, you're going to be able to easily copy and paste. Okay, so what I'll end up doing is on the table side, I will click inside that formula and I'll copy it. And in my Word document later today, I will, let me just move this to the right. I will just paste it like that so that you guys can grab it easily and just modify it based on your own application. For my second example, I copied a tutorial from our how-to, which I found to be very helpful. I'm surprised I didn't think of that myself. It's actually pretty clever. It's a way to calculate your sales data based on the quarter. So Q1, Q2, Q3, based on the submission or entry in the table, and based on the month. And it's very simple actually. So if we look at the table design and we look at this case statement, which I'll copy and paste into my Word document really quickly. So that later on I can just share that with you guys. So case when the month, so we have a date field in our table, which is the order date, is greater than or equal to 1, which is January, and the same field is less than or equal to 3, which is March, we want to assign Q1 in the table. Okay, so as you keep going, between 4 and 6, that's going to be Q2, between 7 and 9, that's Q3, and then 10 and 12, that's Q4. Okay, very, very simple case statement where all we want to do is say if it's going to be Q1, Q2 based on the date in the table. And we're looking at the starting, obviously it's the month, right? In month, not day, not year, but month. So when you add your information into the database, let's say this is going to be once again Q1. let's say 1200, and you're going to be able to see how it's assigned as Q1. So on the data page, let me just refresh. I have a pie chart that calculates based on Q1, Q2, or Q3, and Q4, and it does the calculation for me based on data in the table. And I have a very simple filter here at the top based on the year in the database. So we're going to just simply click edit to see what that looks like. So my search, I'm using a custom value to input my year. And then in the results page, when you're calculating on the chart, so we have the category quarter, which is the field in our table. That's the formula field in our table to calculate the quarter, Q1, Q2, Q3. And then for value, we have the sale field from the database table. We're using the sum to calculate for those specific quarters. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions so far. Hopefully this is all making sense. I like this one to calculate on the pie chart for Q1 through Q4. It's very useful for your sales teams to be able to see what kind of revenue you're generating per quarter. All right, for my other two examples, I will have to navigate to a different account. So let me go into a separate account here. And we're going to look at my training account. I have too many accounts to count. And we're going to look at this one to calculate the formula field demo. Let's come over here, click on design. And I know it's going to look complicated, but it's really not. Here's my tabular report, and it's conditional to provide 3 different answers inside this column. And we're calculating the margin, which is really sales minus cost to get that total, and then times the sales. And I believe it's times 100. Let's take a look to calculate the percent. Sorry, divided by sales. So you're taking sales minus cost divided by sales times 100 to get the margin in percentage. And if that's less than 20 and the margin explanation is empty, then I want to provide a link to add a comment. Okay, provide a comment why there's no explanation and your margin in percentage is less than 20. Provide a comment why that happened. Or if you're calculating again, it's less than 20 and the margin explanation it does have an explanation, then just provide the actual margin explanation inside that column, what it is that you said. Or else, if it's above 20%, then margin goal was met. So I'm going to show you here from the table side by adding, or just simply by changing very quickly here, so you can see what the case statement is doing here on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and change something here. Let's say you can see this one is less than 20. So if you times this by 100, you get 1%. So it's less than 20, but there's no explanation provided. That's why you have a link here to add a comment. So on the front end, you can see less than 20, that's 1%. Provide a comment why that happened. However, if you do already have a comment in there, let's just say some comment. Watch what happens here on the left-hand side. Okay, there's the actual explanation why that margin is less than 20% on the front end. You're going to be able to see that. Okay, and if I do remove it once again, the link will come back. As you can see on the front end, you're going to see that link, and then now you can add a comment as to why you came out less than 20% on the margin. Okay, so let's take a look at the case statement one more time so that you can see. So once you calculate the margin times 100, if it's less than 20% and there's no margin explanation, it's empty, then have a link to add a comment. And you can see how here we can also pass the ID as a parameter, and we're using cast. Okay, cast basically allows you to convert a value to any value, essentially, and you can see I'm converting it to a variable character. Variable character basically allows you to have any type of character in that field. So you can have percentage, you can have number, you can have text, and then finally we have add comment. Okay, so really just provide a link if you're less than 20% and there's no explanation. However, if there is an explanation, if it's not empty, okay, then just provide the actual explanation or margin set margin goal was met if you're above 20%. How do you handle the quarter for multiple years? For multiple years, basically, once the data is added, right, we're adding for 2023 now, but once the new year rolls over, you're going to stamp the date as 2024. And then on that drop down, when you select 2024, you're going to be able to see the data for just that specific year. I think that's what you're asking me. Let me know if I'm not answering that correctly. So I can filter based on year. If I want to see this year, 2023, that's my sample data in the database for 2023. So if I go back to that example, let me just copy and paste this really quickly in my Word document because I'll share with you as well. And I'll clean this up later. That's what you're asking? Yeah, so I can, let me go back to my other example very quickly. We only have one more example to look at, and then we'll be done with today's live stream. But I'll go back to my other account very quick. And okay, Swin, table. If you were to, sorry, wrong example. Let's come up here. If you were to, let's say now add one more for 24. Let's say it's next year already, January, I don't know, 555. It still submits it as Q1, but you're not going to see this on the report unless you select on the filtering side, unless you select 2024. It's still giving you information for 2023, and then if you select 2024, you're going to be able to see that 555 that we just added. And Lucas, hopefully that is what you were asking. If not, I'm more than happy to look into it some more. All right, the final example that we have, which is an internal application that we were kind of working on for a little while, but I think we abandoned it. So let's go back to our list of accounts. Let's go into training, and let's come over here to MQA. It's a way to use the case statement to provide a different link on the report based on a value in the table, based on the status. And what I'm talking about is, let's come over here, open that up. Actually, let me open the data page since I don't have it booked. Let's come over here and properties. So in this application, I'm going to show you my formula. Let's checklist link. So based on the value in the table, so if it's a web page, then go to that link and pass the ID. Okay. If it's a landing page as the value in the table, then go to that other link. Or if it's an email, then go to that link. So conditional, right? And I want to open up the checklist based on if it's a web page, a landing page, or an email campaign. So you can see I have two results here, and they're both web page. So when I click on the checklist link, it's going to take me to a page for web page checklist. Okay, and it's a long checklist for QA. However, let's go back to the results page. If in my table, we have, let's just call this sample, and then put landing page. And we have a submission form to do the same thing, by the way. I could open up a submission form to do the same thing, but I'm just adding my data into a table. Here, I'll show you really quickly here. I believe it's a drop down, so you can select the type, if it's landing page, web page, or email campaign. I'm just adding it directly into my table. This doesn't matter. Environment, don't really care about any of this. Let's just put my name here so that I know it was me. And I think I'm okay with that. Sorry, I'm clicking on the row below so I can save this, but you can see it's kind of giving me a hard time. And you can see what happened here with the case statement. So because it's a landing page, I have a different link over here. You can see LP for landing page. Okay, so that's what that means. So it provides a different link. So if I look at my case statement one more time, sorry about the slight delay here. You guys can still hear me, right? You can still... The video feed's still good, right? I hope. I think hopefully it's just on the Caspio side here on our end. Yeah, okay, good. Thanks, Bethany. A little blurry? Okay. So I'm just going to show you on the front end, and I think it saved this. I'm going to show you here on the front end. If I refresh this data page, yeah, you can see I've added that page. It's a landing page, but now when I hover over my link, if you look in the bottom left-hand corner of my screen, the statement is basically giving me lp.html at the very end because it's a landing page. So when I click on that link, it should open up the QA list for landing page as opposed to the web page. Hopefully sometime today. Here we go, landing page. Okay. So conditional, really fun way to display different data pages based on something that's in the table. And that's something that you could do as well for your applications if the need arises. I will make all of these available sometime in the afternoon for you to download. So if you come back to the video in the afternoon, if you need to use any of these solutions, just swing back, grab it. Or if anything, you can save it on your end if in the future you need to use it. It's very helpful. I always save everything that I create in my accounts, so that way I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I can just copy and paste and use throughout my other applications. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about, if anybody wants to attend our webinar, which is at the end of the month, we have one coming up, which will be top 3 application examples for patient engagement. If anybody wants to come, it's going to be hosted by myself and Naveed. It'll be January 25th. And we're going to be looking at, I'm working on the use case right now, but we're going to be looking at an example of a patient portal and also how to do a remote connection with the patient, so via video. So that's another thing we're going to be looking at. And lastly, how to do a patient survey. So if the patient comes in for a visit, I want to get an email link to fill out a survey on how I felt about my visit with my primary care physician. So this is the application I'm building. It's going to utilize our directories feature as well. I'll give you guys a quick sneak peek. When I log in as the patient, I will be able to see my appointments with my physicians. I will be able to see my prior visits, which track vital signs. I'll be able to see my test results. If I had a like a lab work or a CT scan or MRI, things like that, I can see my health snapshot, which gives me my averages for my vital signs, and I can also track my BMI, my pulse, and some other healthcare metrics. By the way, this is all sample data. There's no actual PHI here. Keep that in mind. Lastly, we can look at messages. So we'll be demoing this application in our webinar along with a few more things. If this is of interest to you, feel free to swing by. Did I share the link with you? Maybe I haven't shared the link, so let me copy it and send that to you guys as well. So if you are interested, if it piques your interest, you can go ahead and attend the webinar. All right. So thank you guys so much for attending today's live stream. I appreciate it. Hopefully you learned something new with the case when statements on the formula. You can also, I did not do that in today's live stream, but you can also take those case statements and use them on the data page side too. I should have done at least one example of that. You can use a calculated field and you can add the case statements there to calculate. I like to add them on the backside on the table so that I can have my answer as well, because if I add it to my data page, then it's just really just in real time to see that calculation, but you don't get it stored in the table. And a lot of times I like to do it on both sides, front end and back end. So can you have nested case? Yes, you can have nested case statements on the report side. So if you calculate something, you can reuse it in another equation on inside a calculated field. Unfortunately, not on the table level. You cannot do it on the table level. That's in the funnel for us to have. in the future, but not at this point. But on the data page side, you can have nested, just not on the table level, unfortunately. That's a good question there. All right. So again, thank you so much for your time. Good to see many of you. I know, Stephen, you're always coming back. Jennifer, David. Nice haircut, by the way. Okay. I didn't think that would come across, but you can thank my wife. She gives my she gives me my haircuts for free. She doesn't have a license to give a haircut, so I kind of take a leap of faith and trust her that she's going to do an okay job. It's a hit or miss sometimes, but find a way to make it work, for the live stream. Thanks, David. Thanks, Dexter. Yeah, glad that this is helpful. Yeah, I'll make it available. I'm going to close the live stream now. I'll keep the chat running for a few more minutes. We don't have a topic yet for next Monday. Likely we'll have a topic either today or tomorrow. But if you guys have a suggestion on something you'd like to see, as always, you can email me here. Once again, my email address, or you can send me your suggestions for something you'd like to see. And it can be as simple as, how do I align my fields, or something complicated with JavaScript or SQL. That is my area of expertise. So if it's something that I think it's worthwhile and something that will help and benefit many people, I will definitely consider it and add it to my pipeline for all the live stream topics. All right, everyone. Once again, thank you so much for coming back to my live streams. I do appreciate your time. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll see you next Monday. Okay? Cheers.